Hi, and welcome to question 95 of Secunda Secundae of the Summa Theologia. This is the Summa Academy, where we are learning to take the teachings of St. Thomas Aquinas and the Summa Theologia and also the Summa Contra Gentiles and make them easy to understand as much as possible to the general population, okay? Because it's such a treasure trove of wonderful teachings. We want to make it fun for people to learn the Summa, the Summas. My name is Dave Palmer. I've been teaching the Summa Theologia for about 15 years now, and I welcome you to this channel. And this question 95 was a little bit humbling for me because I did a whole video on this topic of divination being a sin, and I was calling it divinization, like you see up here. And divinization is actually a really good thing. This is where we unite with God. We become like God, like deiform. And this is what heaven is going to be like, according to St. Thomas Aquinas. That's divinization. But divination is a totally different thing. Divination is where we usurp the quality of God, where he is infinite and eternal and knows all things and knows the future, because only God knows the future for sure. And so when somebody tries to usurp that authority from God and pretends like they know the future, that is called divining or divination. And so I apologize. I do want to thank James was here 04. He's the one that sent a message on the video and said, you know what, I think you're confusing divination with divinization. And you can see how close they are. My goodness, look at that in spelling. So I had to redo the thumbnail. I had to redo everything. So my apologies, mea culpa, mea culpa. But only one of them's a sin, and the other one is like our goal, having the vision of the divine essence. So I apologize for that. And just a reminder, the Summa Academy is where we're learning to communicate these teachings to St. Thomas Aquinas to a broad audience, and mostly people who don't have, the degree in theology or a lot of training, but the average person who just could benefit from learning the Summa Theologia and the Summa Contra Gentiles, which I am really, really enjoying very much. So Article 1, whether divination, I might got to make sure I say this, divination is a sin. And he says divination denotes a foretelling of the future. And the future may be known in two ways. First, in its causes. Secondly, in itself. And what he says here is that, I'll summarize this. He says there's some things that we know are going to happen. Like if I were to say, I predict the sun's going to rise tomorrow. Well, that's not divining. That's something that's based on experience. I know that's going to happen. And then he says, well, there's some things that we know for pretty good certainty are going to happen. Like, let's say your spouse or your best friend, you pretty much know the way they're going to respond to things or how they're going to be tomorrow when you see them. That's not divining. But there are some things that we don't know, like the future and even the stock market, or who's going to win the Super Bowl next year, or who somebody's going to marry if they're not dating anybody. That becomes divining, and that's a sin. And that's basically what he says in this. And okay, let's see if I move on here. He said, it is not called divination if a man foretells things that happen of necessity, or in a majority of instances, or the like can be foreknown by human reason, right? So that's not divining. But only is a man said to divine when he usurps to himself in an undue manner the foretelling of future events, and this is manifestly a sin. Okay, so that's what that is. Is it a species of superstition? Well, we had a video, 5 videos ago or so, which is about superstition. And Thomas says here, superstition denotes undue divine worship. Now, a thing pertains to the worship of God in two ways. In one way, it is something offered to God as a sacrifice, an oblation, or something of the kind. In another way, it is something divine that is assumed, as stated above, with regard to an oath, whereas superstition includes not only idolatrous sacrifices offered to demons, but also recourse to the help of the demons for the purpose of doing or knowing something. Now, what he's going to say here, interestingly, is that anytime somebody does divination, that is going to always have the influence of the demonic. Because if you are usurping the authority of God and pretending like you know the future, well, that's divining, and he said in every case that is going to have a demonic element to it. Article 3, whether we ought to distinguish several species of divination, and boy, does he ever. Now, let me go through these because it's kind of interesting, the different types of divining. He said all divination seeks to acquire foreknowledge of future events by means of some counsel or help of a demon, right? So sometimes they offer themselves to human sight and hearing by mock apparitions in order to foretell the future. This is called prestigiation, and this is direct demonic activity. Sometimes they make use of dreams, and this is called divination by dreams. He's going to have a whole article here in a moment about dreams and when they're okay and when they're not. And then he says sometimes they employ apparitions or utterances of the dead people, and this is necromancy. And sometimes they foretell the future by means of shapes or signs which appear in inanimate beings. If these signs appear in some earthly body, such as wood, iron, or stone, it's called geomancy. If it's water, it's called hydromancy. If it's air, it's called aeromancy. And if fire, pyromancy. So there's all these different kinds. If the entrails of animals sacrificed at the altars of demons, it's called erispaki. A lot of different types. The divination, which is practiced without express invocation of the demons, is of two kinds. The first is when, with a view to obtain knowledge of the future, we take observations in the disposition of certain things, such as the stars, and that's astrology. Most of us are familiar with that. Genethliacs take note of days in which people are born, so that's like horoscopes. If one observed the movement and cries of birds or animals, it's called augury. If we take men's words and twist them twist them, it's called omens. We've all heard of omens. And divinization that takes from observing the lines of somebody's hand, palm readers, is called chiromancy. Divinization, which is taken from signs appearing on the shoulder blades of animals, spatulamancy, and it goes on and on. They're drawing lots. That's called geomancy. And, this one, finally, a person may happen to draw by holding several unequal sticks and noting who takes the largest stick, or throwing dice, these like games of chance. That's called sortilege. So a lot of different types of divination. Article 4 is divination practiced by invoking the demons unlawful. Well, I think that goes without saying that it certainly is. And Thomas goes on to say, we've got scripture, we've got God, we've got angels, we've got saints. Why do we have to invoke the demons, right? Article 5, divination by the stars. Is that unlawful? He said the operation of the demon thrusts itself into those divinations which are based on false and vain opinions in order that man's mind may become entangled in vanity and falsehood. So really with this and some of the other ones, he's going to say that if we give things like the stars more credit in determining the future or letting us know the future, then that's going to be that's going to be divination. That's going to be demonic. But if it's something like seeing a rainbow or seeing signs in the sky or dark clouds coming in or different things that may actually indicate something that may happen in the future, so yeah, it takes a degree of prudence. But if you're looking just at the stars or the alignment, and then you're saying that because of this reason you're able to foretell the future, well, that could certainly be demonic, and that could be divination, and that would certainly be a sin. He also says that the stars cannot have any effect on our free will, because our free will is of the higher part of our soul. It's not attached to any bodily feature, whereas like the body may be more influenced by the weather or something like that, but the will is always free. So we cannot assume that anything in the stars or astrology is going to have any influence on our free will. And so he says, if anyone take observation of the stars in order to foreknow casual or fortuitous future events or to know with certitude future human actions. His conduct is based on a false and vain opinion, and so the operation of the demon induces itself therein. Again, this is going to be demonic. Wherefore, if it will be superstitious and unlawful. On the other hand, if one were to apply the observation of the stars in order to foreknow those future things that are caused by the heavenly bodies, for instance, drought or rain and so forth, it will be neither an unlawful or a superstitious divination. Like the moon, for example. The moon controls the tides. And we will know the tides based on certain cycles of the moon, and that's not divination, that's just a fact, right? No, number 6, Article 6, dreams. Okay, so he goes on, divinization is superstitious and unlawful when it is based on false opinion. Now, dreams are sometimes the cause of future occurrences. For instance, when a person's mind becomes anxious through what it has seen in a dream and thereby is led to do something or avoid something. So you have a dream about somebody and then you go off and, break up a relationship or quit a job. And so that could have something to do with the future, that dreams. Sometimes dreams are a sign of future happenings insofar as they are referable to some common cause of both dreams and future occurrence. So again, take some prudence here. And then he goes, the spiritual cause is sometimes referable to God, who reveals certain things to men in their dreams by the ministry of angels. Look at Joseph. Okay, he was given a lot of information in dreams. Sometimes, however, it is due to the action of the demons that certain images appear to persons in their sleep. So really, it's hard to tell. But if you have to be prudent. You have to be wise about these things and come to realize whether or not this is truly from God or this might have some kind of demonic influence. Article 7, whether divination by auguries, omens, and the like observations of external things is unlawful. He said the movement or cry of birds and whatever dispositions one may consider in such things are manifestly not the cause of future events. Wherefore, the future cannot be known from them, from animals. The cause of dumb animals' action is a certain instinct whereby they are inclined by natural movements, and they are not the masters of our actions. Hence, nothing prevents some of their actions from being signs of the future insofar as they are conformed to the dispositions of the heavenly bodies and the surrounding air to which certain future events are due. There's been talk about like cows lying down, maybe a sign of rain, or maybe some animal instinctively acts a certain way when something's going to happen. And so there may be some truth to that, but you can't give too much credit to these kind of things. And he also says God can use animals, where the dove descended upon Christ, the raven fed Elias, and the whale swallowed Jonah, right? So sometimes animals are used for these purposes. And finally, whether divinization by drawing lots is unlawful. And I'm just going to kind of summarize this one. In the Acts of the Apostles, when Judas died, they cast lots and they chose Matthias, but they were relying on God's divine inspiration for that. And so what he's going to say here is that, if you're just relying on chance, and let's say you cast lots and say, hey, whoever gets the short stick has to buy dinner tonight, and you realize it's just by chance, and then that person buys dinner. Or if it's something like the apostles did and they're relying on the inspiration of God, that's okay. But if you are putting too much credit on some other influence or some spiritual entity that's going to help you make this decision, then it could be very, very bad, right? So that does it for question 95 on divination. And I'm very, very sorry that I was calling it divinization on the last video. I'm erasing that one, getting rid of it, and I'm going to put this one up, and we will be good. So I apologize for that. And thanks again to James was here 04 for pointing that out to me, and my bad, right? And don't forget, we are learning how to communicate the teachings of St. Thomas Aquinas in the Summa Theologia. And if you have any comments about the way I deliver, or things that would improve the way I deliver, or things that you think are good or bad or indifferent, I would appreciate any kind of feedback that you can provide. God bless you, and thank you for watching.